What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Backliners podcast. Agro and Barracuda, as per usual. This week of the Backliners, by the way, is brought to you by Factor Meals. Head to factormeals.com/backliners50 and use code backliners50 to get 50% off. That's code backliners50 at factormeals.com/backliners50 to get 50% off. 50. That's a lot, Barry. 50%. It is actually exactly half off, but no one heard you say it's almost like half off because, well, it's our podcast, like that's just how it goes. There we go. Nice. We got it. Here's a funny little tidbit. We recorded the gameplay section of the God Reveal trailer. And by we, I mean I recorded it, and I checked beforehand. The audio was good. I recorded the game, sent it over, and they go, hey, is it just us or is there no audio? And I went, I don't want to be around anymore. So then I had to do it again.
Oh, no.
Yeah. The OBS trolls continue to...
Do you have like a mixer or something?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, maybe that's why it resets like every time you close OBS or something.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But the fun part is that it isn't just opening OBS. It's that I change it before we went live. One of these days I am on God going to show everyone me setting the audio, testing that it works, switching scenes, coming back, and it doesn't work. I'm going to show maybe next episode. I will remember to do that. I probably won't, but eventually I might. You never know. I'm very tired, by the way. I'm just gonna. I love how someone in the YouTube comments recently was like, "Yeah, every episode aggro is like this is gonna be an off the rails episode." And you're right, YouTube commenter. I shouldn't need to.
I mean, you just had a baby. I mean, I feel like that is kind of like par for the course, no? Like,
well, yeah, but like this is just what people should expect from this show from now on.
Exactly.
Lower your expectations. No, from now on. Lower your expectations, dear listener.
Expect some more random aggro rants about specific topics.
Yeah.
And
also,
just
like,
look pretty during them.
Forgetting things and not remembering things. Having worse takes than usual, which will be pretty easy because my takes are normally so good that there's a lot of room to go down. Yeah,
you're at the top.
Right. I agree with what you just said. Here we go. Let's talk. Here we
go.
The Kickoff to Worlds, Road to Worlds kickoff tournament that took place over the weekend. A lot of really fun Smite.
Yeah.
I thought a lot of these sets were super interesting to watch, like legitimately.
Yeah, I agree. And also, this is off topic because Hammy's been griefing my sleep lately. And so this past weekend, like the games, like before this episode, I was like, I feel like those were a month ago. And I don't know why, if that's just like what sleep deprivation does to you.
Yep.
But like during today, I was like, okay, I have to rewatch like semis and finals so I didn't watch them. And I was like, this happened forever ago. Like it had to have. Like, there's no way this was just a few days ago. And because I'm the reason also the podcast is on Thursday. I asked Aggro and I was like, can we please move it? I am literally dead. And so we did, thankfully. And unfortunately for me, I'm not any more alive today than I was on Tuesday.
Isn't that the worst when you're like, yeah, just some more time, I'll be good. And then it's actually like, there is no difference for this at all. I've been there many times.
You're just flipping the coin when you go to sleep, and you're like, please let tonight be restful, please.
There is a reason that it is a common thing to say that getting a puppy is like the training arc for having a child. There are a lot of similarities. I did get pooped on a lot less when Mac was a puppy. Like a lot less, but she was also very good. It did not take very long to potty train her. She pooped inside literally one time.
Oh, that must be nice.
It was incredible, and that was not because we are God's gift to dog training. She is just God's gift to us because she's a precious baby angel.
People said that Shibas, or the internet said that Shibas are basically, they come potty trained. Well, that's a lie. This this little guy just loves to poop on carpet. Yep. That's his favorite thing. He won't really poop on the
They are
hardwood
really specific
or whatever.
about what they like to poop on. Mac for a long time would only poop on wood chips, like to the point where we considered, because there was one section of our apartment complex that we lived in at the time that had wood chips, and then they got rid of those, and the hillside was kind of like wood chippy kind of, and so she would climb on this like steep hillside and only poop on that. And I was like, dude, it is just going to roll down. And of course, that's exactly what it did. But we literally like considered like, should we go and get like wood chips or like mulch chips to put down in some spot so that she will just poop, because she would have to poop, but would refuse until she got on the surface that she liked. And I don't remember when
that's kind of cute
stopped. But it was a long standing thing, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Hammy also does this thing when he poops where he will just spin in a circle while pooping.
That's really funny.
So you can tell every time that Hammy poops inside because he's just drawing art inside.
Oh,
and then
hate that.
I think it was either last week or the week before. There's just like a giant U of poop in the closet, and I'm like, this is fantastic. I love this.
Yep. Yeah, that's the joy of a little one, whether it be a little person or a little dog. They just absolutely rock you with the most just disgusting things. Joe literally, she has like little slipper socks, so like soft slippers kind of, and she was putting some laundry away today, and she goes, "There's baby poop inside of my slipper sock," which means that I had it on the bottom of my foot, didn't realize it, and put on my slipper sock, and now it's still in there. And I was like, yep,
bro,
that's just how it is. Like, that's just how it goes. It really do be like that.
I've only barefooted Hammy poop one time so far, thankfully.
Oh god, that sounds terrible. Dog poop is way worse than baby poop. Is like kind of gross, but really not that bad. Apparently, my therapist was literally telling me today that as soon as they start eating solid food, it goes from like baby poop, which is like mentally manageable, to now I realize that I'm handling a human's poop, and that like gets way grosser, and I'm really dreading that. And they start eating real food. Do you think people like that we just talk about poop all the time now on this podcast?
Honestly,
do you think they like that?
Welcome to the
like it's poop covered podcast.
You just hit a certain age, and sometimes you just talk about poop a lot more often, and I think we're both there.
Well, I talked about a lot. Okay, this is gonna be weird. I talked about poop a lot when I was. It was definitely a thing among my friends group in high school to talk about in extensive detail the poops we would take, because it made other people uncomfortable, and we thought that was kind of funny. And then I stopped talking about poop for a while in between, because that's like more normal, and I became more normal. And then then I like joined the TeamSpeak, which is like Meerkat, Mike, Snoopy, all those guys, and instantly became less normal again. And
surprising.
Just have a kid. Yeah, it's funny how that works out. So yeah, this is the poop podcast. What was I saying? Oh yeah,
the poop liners.
The poop liners, right? They started eating, like, we could start feeding him like cereal, like dry, Cheerios or whatever, at like 6 months, which is not that far away. He's like almost 3 months. He's like 10-ish weeks old now. Oh, there we go. There's the boy.
There's
Look
my
at
little
him.
pooper.
He wouldn't do anything intentionally to mess you up. He's a cute little guy. He's
really
actually not
adorable.
a little guy anymore. He's big, but he's still so cute.
Yeah,
oh my
I think
God.
he weighs like 14 pounds probably now.
Dude, my son weighs like 11 pounds, and I was stoked today. They're so similar. Also,
Aww.
I just got a text from my wife. This is a verbatim. I'm reading these texts verbatim. He just big farted in his sleep, like man-sized. So that's how it's going, you know.
That's adorable.
Yeah, that's what he bring to the
Yeah.
table. Okay, let's talk about this tournament, shall we? That happened this weekend. Just to clarify, Bobby, I invited Bobby back to go over our predictions so that we could all be bad at predictions somewhat together, and he said he had such a terrible time and he'll never be back. But no, he actually said that he was going to a movie. So unfortunately, we'll just have to roast him without him here. Sticks versus Gladiators. We all had 3-0 Sticks Ferryman there. They did end up 3-0.
We got one.
We got one right. Not too much to say about that set, I'd say. Gladiators didn't look worse than before the change. It did not surprise me that they still needed a little bit of time to get comfortable. It's kind of what we all talked about last week in our prediction episode. That set went about as expected. Agreed?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, there's not much to say about that set. I kind of feel like it's just kind of expected. That seems rude, I guess, but yeah.
No, it's that's just what we expected. Warriors versus Kings did not go the way that any of us expected. You had 3-2 Kings. I had 3-1 Kings. Bobby, the only one who was correct in his Warriors prediction, but
okay, I'm glad he's not here.
He had 3-2. So can you even really give it to him? That's a coin flip set. You know what I mean? It's not even definitive. Instead, the Oni Warriors came out, and this was a statement set. It felt. I mean, this was not close. They crushed them.
If I remember correctly, I think this was the Sot Panatom just gap.
Yep.
Like, they just completely ran over Solo Side, and it seemed like 3 games in a row. Just Sot was unkillable, Demon King of just. I think this was the set where he was just kind of walking at them late game and just standing.
Yes,
in front of like their tier 2 and Phoenixes
and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. That build with like the Thieves or whatever.
Yep.
Seems kind of unkillable.
Yeah.
I'm not
potentially.
But...
I mean, when I look at the builds like on the other side, Yarkor did have a good amount of pen, but he's playing set ADC. Set ADC doesn't really kill tanks super well. Even with pen. Big Man had 20% pen with a Reaver and 15 flat from a Deso. That's not really very good at killing the Odin. No Sunder. No Erosion. If Odin comes back and Erosion isn't in builds, maybe that means that it's just perceived as too weak, but I feel like that character gets absolutely dominated by that item, especially in lane. It's actually kind of good to pick the Odin into something like Wukong, who has specific items that he really does want to go, because I feel like if you play Odin into like Yorm, which is a terrible matchup for Odin, and you would never pick it, unless you're blind picking the Odin. But like, there are characters that you want some items, but you're kind of flexible in what you can go early. If you are playing Odin into a character who can afford to just go Erosion first item and not int their lane by doing it, I feel like you just lose trades. Like, I just don't know how you beat trades. But maybe you don't have to. Maybe you can just PvE them and...
Yeah, from what I was watching, he never really like cleared the wave. He was just kind of holding the wave on his tower and kind of just clearing it very slowly.
Yep.
So I don't know if there was actually like a laning phase over there.
Yeah.
Besides him just watching minions die.
He did mitigate a cool 47k that game. Let me just read out Panatom's score lines this set for you. 4-1-9, game 1 on Pele. Then he clocked it at 9-1-9. So for those of you keeping score at home, that's 13, 2, and 18. Then in game 3, he went 10-1-9. So that's 23, 3, and 27 for Panatom in this set. Is that
okay, KDA?
Is that good?
Yeah, when your jungler's doing that, I don't think you can lose the game. Unless you're just trolling.
You cannot. Yep. Panatom definitely did it to him on that set. Okay, Hounds Levi's. you had 3-2 Hounds. Bobby and I both had 3-1 Levi's. It ends up being a 3-0 for the Leviathans. And Leviathans looked very good in this set, but I wanted to get a chance to watch. I watched a lot of this set live, but didn't get a chance to do what I was hoping to, which was go back and really like take time and break down what I thought was really happening, because it was one of those sets that you kind of get the feeling as you're watching it, like, are the Leviathans really playing this well, or are the Hounds playing this poorly in order to let this happen? And in game 3 in particular, that was the Hounds inting that game away. They were up huge in this game. They overstayed super hard. They let Kennett pick up like a triple on Alkwang in the mid game. And is there like a worse feeling as a competitive player than when you're winning by like 5k in the mid game and a late game hyper carry triple kills you and they start getting objectives, and you realize that your lead is going to go away or is literally already gone because that character just like outscales you. That game was just hard tossed in my opinion.
That's happened a lot where, I mean, I've been in that situation a lot where you're like, we're winning this fight, oh, I'm getting executed, and then there's just like a second or two of like silence and calms, and it's like run, and then you just realize that you're all dead, and you're like, oh no, did we just throw to an Alkwang again?
Yep.
And a lot of hypercarriers can just do that, and then Kennett is also, I mean, he's just got like I don't want to say like selfish, but he has the pop-off style of play. So if he's given that room and he sees his end, he just goes like One Punch Man mode and just starts executing everyone.
No, I think that selfish is the right word for it, but it shouldn't carry the negative connotation that word usually does. Like in sports, Kobe Bryant was an unbelievably selfish player, but that he was better at that style than anyone else. So it's just, you just get that from players who play that style. Kennett's absolutely a selfish jungler, but he's had one of the best, if not the best, SPL careers ever. Doing it like that.
I remember trying to get ready and like shower that morning, and I was like, oh, I've got plenty of time. This is a best of 5.
Yeah, and you predicted 3-2.
Yeah, and I'm making my smoothie, and then I had to leave before I even finished drinking my smoothie because Hounds were getting stomped so hard in the first 2 games. So I don't even know if I like really saw game 3 because I was driving during it.
Yep.
But I was like, I'm going to be late. There's no way. Because before this meta, every game was like 40 minutes. Like, you could leave pretty safely. And then we're getting like some 20-minute wins, like 22 or whatever in that area. Yep. And that makes my drive a lot riskier now. Well, and I realized that morning.
It for you, just for your drive,
Buff the chest camp again.
There we go. Yeah, I can do that, no problem. By the way, I want to call out Rongu rushed Absolution on Ganesh this game up against the Ares, and I don't remember if it got heavy value, but I love it. Absolution, very underrated. Did we talk about it recently on this podcast?
Last episode, yeah.
Dude, we are so good. Well, who was I kidding about lowering your expectations? Come on, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I was saying that was pretty hard to get your ult, and then you were like, you were defending Absolution. I was like, I feel like it's pretty hard to like time your ult with that in most situations. But if he's doing it,
can be.
Respect.
Can be. I don't know if maybe it didn't work a single time. Who knows? But he bought it, and so that's a point for me.
Oh, I think Scream said that he messed it up one time. Or it was someone with Absolution against an Ares. I don't know if it's Ronnie or not, but someone messed it up.
Fair enough. And then the final of the first round matchups that we predicted was you guys up against the Ravens, or you guys up against the Dragons, excuse me. I did. Unfortunately for you, Barry, I did call this one absolutely perfectly. I had 3-1 Dragons.
Yeah, I only got one right that day. That is kind of shameful.
Yeah, you did only get one right.
I'm just gonna stop betting on Coast.
Yeah, it was.
Every time I bet on Coast, he loses.
Well, yeah, then you gotta doubt him for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Talk me through this Jade Dragon set. Actually, I've got a question right off the rip. When you realize, at what point did you realize it was Athena mid, game one. And what was your like team conversation like when you realized it was Athena mid?
Uh, I don't remember the draft order, but we did not realize it was Athena mid for a very, very, very long time.
They
I
went.
assume.
Sorry to cut you off. They went
Oh,
Pele
you're
on
good.
her Athena top three, and then their bottom two were Terra Ama. You guys banned Ares Ganesh.
Hmm.
So it seems like you thought it was solo.
What was their draft?
Okay, so they banned Raijin Yamoja Wukong. You banned Cherno, Mori, Marty. They went Pele. You picked Thor Charon. They picked On Her Athena. And you guys top three'd Camazotz, which I was very surprised by. Then you banned Ares Ganesh. So at that point, you must have either thought that it was Pele mid Athena jungle or Pele jungle
Yeah.
Athena solo.
Yeah.
So you double ban supports. They ban Chiron Freya. You pick X Ball, Bear Classic.
Uh-huh.
They picked Terra Ama, and you guys finished with Nuwa.
Wow.
Yeah, this draft was.
We lost that game?
Yep.
That's
Yep.
so crazy. I will not lie. We came in not valuing Pele at all. And
Which is kind of surprising to me because Scream is a really good Pele player historically.
yeah. We were obviously valuing Kama higher, which is why we like top 3 of that game. But after scrimming a bit more this week, that god has a very high floor in team fights.
Yep.
That she
She
just
gets-
vomits
she gets
out damage.
Yep. She
Uh-huh.
is getting damage. She's like the assassin version of Zeus.
Yep.
Or like Opwash. Where like, yeah, you're gonna die, but you're gonna get your damage off. It is not a surprise, I guess, that I like Pele a lot because that is a playstyle that I enjoy.
Yeah, we were pretty far behind on drafts in this set. Well, obviously because we lost, but just in general, because we had 7 scrim blocks scheduled before, and 3 of them got canceled. So we had 4 sets of scrims coming into this tournament, and I don't remember the Pele looking too great when we were scrimming, or teams like not even really playing it. I think we played it a little bit, but we were just valuing other picks like Charon and everything way higher than Pele. And we were coming in like with like Cherno and Raijin being like super OP top 2, and then beyond that, our tier list was just kind of like all over the place for all of us, so we didn't really have specific values of picks of where things should go. And obviously, from watching the tournament, I think my Athena value went up a lot. My Pele value definitely went up. Pele is just like absurd.
Yep.
And she just always gets out damage. So this kind of entire set, I think we played relatively well against in the early mid game, but our Fire Giants were just so bad because we were so out of practice. Our comms around them were so lackluster. I think we could have actually like had a 2-0 or a 3-0 this set if like our late games went relatively well. But our shot calling and decision making in the late game team fights around fire was just so bad over and over and over again. We were just extremely out of practice, and it showed in like every team decision where we all had to come together and like work as a team. I think before that's where we shined, and now in that tournament, I think that was like our biggest weak point. And I think Vin was really disappointed with like his own individual performance, but I don't really care if people have like bad individual performances, but he took it like kind of hard, I think, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I think we could have drafted a little differently, because game one, I think if we went like a really heavy due to like anti-dive mage, I think that's all their comp wanted to do. So if we just like vomit damage back on them when they're vomiting damage on us, because I think Nuwa is pretty good late game, but the team fights were a little too fast, I think. And you need like that perfect end sometimes as Nuwa. Yeah, I think the rest of the set just kind of not like went as expected, but went as best as practice allowed it to. Unfortunately.
Sure. Yeah, I mean all these games pretty long. You know, 38.
Yeah, I think we had the longest in the tournament, right?
I think that's correct. Yeah, 38, 43, 40, 43. So a bunch of pretty long games.
Which is surprising because we kind of felt like we were playing really bad. So for us to be able to take it late game with apparently like the best team or second best team in the tournament, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's fair for sure. Dragons definitely ended up impressing me quite a bit. Not to jump too far ahead, but I thought that their picks were really good. And the way that they were playing the map seemed like they were playing with confidence. Particularly Mike playing with confidence.
Yeah, that was a big difference for me playing against Mike. He kind of seemed like the well, it's gonna sound stupid now, but like the Dragons Mike versus like the new team's Mike, which he was very good at controlling duo side jungle and just kind of giving Vote a lot of space while not like overextending. So yeah.
Yep, unleashed, if you will.
Yep.
Yeah, Dragons looked very good. So we only predicted those first round matchups and then our top twos for the week. So I actually got 3 out of 4 correct.
Did you cheat?
Nope. I only missed the king set. Barry, you got 1 out of 4 correct. Bobby got 3 out of 4 correct as well. He missed your set.
What the heck?
By sucking up to you.
Yeah. I agree.
Because he picked Warriors. So he kind of entered himself there. Let's talk about who we had for our top twos before we actually break down those matchups then, so we can just wrap up this prediction talk. See what I did there? You had Ferryman and Kings as your top 2. That did not end up panning out necessarily. I had Dragons and Levi's, so I got 1 out of 2 correct. And Bobby had Ferryman and Levi's, so he also goes 0 for 2. So let that be a lesson to all of you. I still got it. You know, that's what we've learned today.
You know, Agar wouldn't have talked about the predictions unless he got most of them right. So this is just him gloating right now. He is just so happy.
Can't prove that. That's all I'm gonna say. You never know.
He wrote down everything. He was so happy. He was giddy for this podcast.
Well, I mean, when I checked and I realized that I got most of them right, I was like, "That's pretty nice. That's a nice change of pace for me." You know, that's not too bad for once.
You're so happy tooting your little horn over there.
Listen, I've heard enough horn tooting from my little kid these days. I've got to toot every once in a while, you know. Okay, Styx Ferryman and Jade Dragons. This ends up being a 3-1 in favor of the Dragons. I only got a chance to watch like the first 2 games of this set, and the Dragons just looked pretty dominant.
Yep.
In those first 2. I think. Yeah, go ahead.
Their mid 3v3 cohesively is so much better than it used to be, and they're able to control the map either with globals or these kind of all-in guaranteed kill comps, and just be very aggressive. And a lot of their team fights and kind of every set, they're always sequencing their engage with like 1 after 1 after 1. They're not all just kind of like diving in together unless it's good. And their dive comps just seem to just be killing everyone right now. I do think a lot of backlines are just playing bad, ours included. And they weren't really expecting the quality of dive, I would say, from Dragons. But yeah, in the last game, I was kind of surprised from an ADC perspective that he went Chiron into Freya. That seemed... that's just like a suicide matchup for the Chiron. Like, it's so hard to live in that matchup. You just get absolutely cooked.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of those that historically that's been like a counter matchup that when Chiron's good, you kind of want to pick the Freya into it. I was a little surprised. I mean, you know, we've seen just in like watching streams and all that kind of stuff, you know, I've seen a little bit more Freya in ranked, and a little bit more Oleron in ranked. The Magical ADCs, really just those 2, I guess, were more heavily prioritized than I expected them to be. coming into this tournament. Did it surprise you at all, the prevalence of Freya and Oleron?
I valued Freya a lot coming into this tournament. I did not value Olo. I kind of view Olo as kind of a pressure bot right now in Duo, where
Mm-hmm.
he gets you shield camps and he gets you the bastions pretty early, but his team fights are really big 50-50s and they just rely on their front line kind of overextending and dying.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, sometimes you just don't do damage as that character. Like
Mm-hmm.
you start auto attacking people for 100 and then you keep auto attacking people for 100.
Mm-hmm.
And you keep buying items but they don't feel like they're doing more damage for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't valuing that god because I was trying to transition into a more like mid late game focus than just kind of jamming duo. Um, yeah, I mean I think he's good, but I think that their front line just needs to play into it. But I was valuing Freya pretty highly, or like thinking about Freya a lot during the draft phase.
Yeah, I think that her performance definitely indicated that. I don't have Blues Ultra's stat sheet up in front of me, but if I had to guess, I'd guess that Freya did pretty well on the weekend, which, you know, hopefully she doesn't
Yeah, I think Carrot
become the best, you know, because those metas are always a little spooky.
always fun. Karen had a pretty bad win loss for this tournament, right?
He did. He did not do well. He did not do well. Marty did not do well. I think Bog and Raijin both had 100% pick ban, but one of those two didn't actually win that much. I think it might have been Bog who lost more than he won, like by a somewhat significant margin, but was still 100% pick ban. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough to say. Like, these tournaments are always it is more likely that there are 100% pick ban characters who aren't actually worthy of it in tournaments like this. I think that's fairly unlikely that they aren't both respectively the best in their classes. But I don't know if they are so much better than everyone else that they should have been eating as many bans as they were in comparison to just picks. And then if you aren't winning and you're picking them, then they stop getting banned. They might get passed over in some picks and bans, and then they end up in that like 80% pick ban threshold, which is probably about where I think both of them would end up over, you know, assuming that they wouldn't get changed, anything like that, like over the course of a phase, like they'd probably just be 70% pick ban participation instead of 100, if I had to guess.
Rajan was 5-4, Cherno was 2-2.
Oh, okay.
Wukong, or I think he messed up because Cherno was picked 5 times but only has like 2-2. And same with Rajan, so I think one game is missing.
So okay,
so
remember I think those.
Ama went 9-2.
Yep.
Wukong went 1-9.
Yep.
Holy.
Yeah, Wukong.
Poor Wukong, bro.
Wukong is one of those characters where I feel like that can happen to him pretty quickly. Like, he always does damage, but is that damage actually relevant? And it makes sense to me because I feel like that Ama matchup shouldn't be very good for him. And so if he's getting picked a lot against Ama definitely saw a lot more priority as the weekend went on. I think that she was the pivotal pick in the finals. And it does not surprise me that she saw a lot of success. I was very surprised that like when the big patch came out and there were all the spicy changes, so to speak, that Ama didn't get more hype because that was a huge deal for her.
That's another character we didn't value at all coming in, and we just kind of assumed. I don't know if Haddix like ever played her, and then I don't know if we ever like. We might have seen her like a game or two, but it wasn't like any devastating performances or anything. Also, another good win loss was Susano with a 6-1.
Yeah, that's the Panatom show.
Yeah,
he played a lot of Susano, so that does not surprise me.
That guy just kills backliners. He
sure
kills
do.
frontliners and backliners.
Does he have Arachne on there? I was thinking about Arachne.
2-1.
2-1
for
Yep.
jungle.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that character is legitimately good. I think we talked about that last week or 2 weeks ago.
With the stun just catching people off guard.
Yeah. I don't think there's been a lot of Reddit threads popping up about Arachne, which does not really surprise me. She's an inherently feast or famine character, and those characters are typically more frustrating because you remember the times where they dominate you and not where they do nothing. But still, so many people sticking to this. The changes didn't fix her core problem line, and I just don't know. I just don't really agree with it. I think it is good for characters to. It isn't right for every character, but for some characters to have very polarizing. I am really good at this thing and really not great at everything else. It means they often have to be frustratingly good at that one thing in order to be successful. And I think that that's a valid thought to not want characters who are that binary. But I'm just of the opinion that I think it is in my personal opinion, it is more interesting to me to have Arachne be even better at the thing that she is supposed to be good at, and not just give her more tools in the toolbox, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, she got an extra spider, and I think her early game kill potential on squishies is really good. Same with her mid game, and then her 1v1s late game are crazy, but her team fight's still bad, which, I mean, for a auto attack jungler, I kind of think your team fight's going to always be 50-50.
Yep.
If you can find that 1v1, because obviously a melee auto attacker who only does damage through auto attacks, it's just going to be hard to get your team fight damage off, and that's just how it is.
Yep. 100%.
And I think that's fine.
I agree. Okay, before we move on to the final two sets, just want to let everyone know that this show in this episode of the Backliners is sponsored by BetterHelp. We have been partnering with BetterHelp for quite a long time. We've both talked at length about how important we feel that therapy is. Actually had my usually it's therapy Wednesdays in our house, but had to push it to today because my friend was in town until yesterday morning. And I was thinking, like, I just knew we had to do podcast tonight, and I was thinking about how helpful I really find it to just have a space that is purely dedicated to setting up the way I'm thinking, and understanding how I'm currently thinking and what I'm going to be thinking about in the coming week. Just carving out a time to do that and do it with someone who is trained to help me understand and internalize those things is really, really, really good. And I'm never walking away from a session feeling like, yeah, I didn't really get much out of that. Barry, I don't know, any extra thoughts on how OP therapy is?
Yeah, I just think it's something everyone should try at least a few times. If you're not meshing with your therapist, I would just change. And BetterHelp makes that it's very easy to change, and you don't feel guilty, or I don't know if responsible is the right word, but you just don't feel like you're severing a connection because you're just kind of moving on from one therapist to another. Just find someone that vibes with you and someone that connects with you and someone that can help you better.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, I like it a lot because if I'm not feeling that sociable that day but still kind of want to have a conversation, I can still do a text conversation and get help that way versus going through a video call or a phone call. I can just kind of passively talk with someone and still get help, and I think I like that part a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I love therapy, and I think everyone should try it.
Absolutely agreed. And like Bear said, BetterHelp makes it really easy to switch therapists. If it isn't, if you aren't connecting with the therapist, then definitely want to find one that you feel that connection with, because that's where you're going to get the best work done. And you can switch therapists at any time with BetterHelp for no additional charge, which is really great. And they take that hassle out of it, which can be very annoying. The only bad part of therapy is finding the right therapist. And BetterHelp makes that significantly easier. So it's like the perfect thing in that sense. So if you want to live a more empowered life, therapy can get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/backliners today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/backliners. Big shout out to BetterHelp for sponsoring the show. All right, final two sets. Oni Warriors versus the Leviathans. This one was a banger of a set. I was able to catch a good amount of this one. I thought that overall, I thought Genetics played really well in this set in particular. Overall, on the weekend, I thought that Panda Cat, if you had to give Panda Cat a letter grade on how he played, not expecting him to be, the Panda Cat of old right away, anything like that, but just like for the situation that he's in, what letter grade would you give Panda for his performance this weekend?
I'd give him like a B plus.
Yeah, I was gonna give him a B. B plus is probably more fair for sure. I thought that the duo lane was very support centric in this set. I thought that both Panda and Netrioid had good moments and also moments that like solo lost games. And that doesn't... ADCs are the role that you are... that, in my opinion, if I were structuring a team and going just by playstyle alone, I do think that ADC needs to have the most potential to insta-win you a game. Well, no. Let me rephrase that. They need to have the least potential to instantly lose you a game, because it's the easiest way to lose a game is to just lose your hunter on every siege, and then you can't win, no matter how well the rest of your team is playing sometimes. Those two players, Panda Cat and Netrioid, are historically some of the best at instantly winning games. Arkill, another one who comes to mind. But Panda at least has really got out of that insta-losing his team games phase pretty quickly, and I think that's the mark of a truly great hunter, is that they have the potential to insta-win you games, but don't instantly lose you games very often, if ever. And Panda just needs to get back into the swing and get back to that level, which I'm expecting that he will, based on how well he played this weekend. It is a concern for me that Netrioid has been that Arkill-like player his whole career so far, and this weekend did not make me feel more confident that that is changing. Despite overall playing well, team obviously played great, won, but I don't know. I that just stood out to me, and that's something that I've been saying about Nets game for a long time, and I just think it's still kind of the same.
Yeah, I would agree. This whole set was just kind of like a bloodbath to me. I was just skipping through it, and they were just team fight after team fight after team fight after team fight. I was laughing. I think it had to be this set. There was one game where Pika didn't finish his gooseberries until like 25 minutes as Hu Yi, and I think sometimes ADC is just like that from the scrims I've had this week, where in ranked I feel like it's pretty easy to finish some games, but in scrims and comp it's really hard some games. Some games you're fighting and clearing, and then right when the supports leave, you just don't hit the other hunter for the next like 15 minutes. Like you're both AFK clearing and then running.
Well, especially if they finished theirs and you didn't, they gain nothing from auto trading with you unless they can kill you. Like otherwise, they're just giving you gooseberry stacks.
Yeah, and against a Hu Yi, I think gooseberry is kind of OP to have as the Hu Yi. So I would agree with Netroid not finding him. But yeah, I was really impressed with his Rama game where he had like a crazy good pop-off, but I think PCAT's kind of having the same struggles I am, where ADC right now just feels really weird, especially laning phase. It just sometimes you can track the jungler, and sometimes he's just there, or they'll just wait there for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And especially playing against Pantom, who kind of has the weakened style of ganks, like the Lazarus style of ganks, where sometimes he will just sit there and he will just wait. So it's like whenever he's in your jungle, you can either sit under your tower until you see him on like solo side, or you can try to fight, and then every time you try to fight, you just die and get ganked.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really awkward pace, I think, in ADC right now. Late game feels pretty standard, but the early mid game just feels a bit awkward. If their jungler's like hard playing for ganks and duo side, which I think both teams, Levi's play a bit more towards duo than Warriors do.
Mm.
Because everyone knows adapting is just camping the shield camp on cooldown.
Oh yeah, that's where he's got.
And then Final K also loves to rotate right now to the duo side, so it's a fun time in the duo lane. I've had scrims where I'm just going like 1-7, like 1-8, just like there's just 4 people at my purples, and I'm just getting dove under my tier 1. I'm like, what am I even doing here? Like what? You just
what's the
put
point
like
of me being around?
just put like a medium Neath bot in this lane. It's basically like the same thing. Like
Yeah.
So duo lane is a little weird right now. So I think a lot of ADCs will just kind of look bad. I think because sometimes you can get out damage in a team fight, and sometimes when you try to get out damage, you are instantly dead. Like there's like 1 or 2 flankers, and it's like, do I want to hit their support that's in front of me, or do I just want to sit behind my mid laner and just not do damage until their flanks come in? So it's a really awkward like dance that we're doing, I think.
Yeah. Something crazy, I was just doing some math while you were talking there. Game 1, Panda 10th picks Rom, goes 4-2-6, drops 40k damage. He was going crazy this game.
Mm-hmm.
Just insane. In a win for the Leviathans. He did 40k damage game 1. Games 2, 3, 4, and 5 combined, he did 42k across 4 games. He basically out-damaged the rest of the 5-game set in game 1. Had like 49% of his total damage for the set in game 1. Yeah, just
that's
like
how
you
it
said,
is, dude.
That's just how it is. But
it feels so weird. Like sometimes I have like half of Vin's damage, and I'm like, am I misplaying? Like I feel like I'm not just getting like damage opportunities in team fights, and then like you don't go for like 3 damage opportunities in a row, and then you go for your 4th one, you instantly die, and you're like, okay, what? Should I just like position differently? Do I just keep not going for damage? I just peel my mid laner. So yeah, it's weird.
Yep. Okay, and then last but not least, it was the finals on Sunday. It happened to him again, Barry. It's absolutely crazy. Dragons. Go ahead.
I saw the 2-0, and I was like, oh, good, they're going to win game 3. So I didn't watch it live, and then I went back to watch it today, and it's just like the momentum just swung in the other direction, and then by game 5, it was just over.
Yeah. Tough for the core. Dardes, Nico Vogt. I mean, what do you even say at this point, you know? Like, I did talk to Mike a little bit the other day, and he said that he didn't think that he thought like, oh, maybe there will be like, maybe they'll play nervous this game 5 or whatever, but he said that he didn't really feel like they played any differently or played nervous. They just like took some risks as a team that they wanted to take, and it didn't end up working out. But I just feel like it is impossible. I don't think it's like I don't think it's a flaw at all if you're Dardes Nico Vogt at this point to get up 2-0, lose a game or two, especially if you lose 2, and then not feel like, oh, it's happening again. I think it is like a mental strength thing. The first time it happens to you after you get reverse swept, maybe even the second time. But at this point, like, they'd be silly not to think it, right? It's just happened to them so many times. So I don't know what you do. Like, it's unfortunate, man. Like,
Yeah.
Imagine they're in World's Finals, Barry. They're in World's Finals. They're up 2-0.
They should just lose game 1. That takes it completely away. Just you're playing a best of 5. If you're that confident,
they should
just
win. They should win game 1.
Throw away game 1, and you just start the set down a game. That's fine. Just throw away game 1.
I don't know, man. It's really like, how does it not creep into your mind? And how does it not creep into your mind if you're, Cherio, their coach, or like Lasbro or Mike? You know what I mean? Like,
that is funny.
It's just tough, bro. And I don't even blame them at this point. And I went back and like rewatched this at 5x speed basically because all I had time for today. And I really don't think that they like hard choked. I do think that their draft got absolutely weird.
I think as the set went on, as the tournament went on, it just felt like Dragons just basically got downloaded by Warriors.
Yes, I agree.
And it just seemed like the Dive-S style of comp was figured out, and what Warriors need to play into it got figured out, and then by game 5. Also, like, I think it was game 3 where they get double killed in mid, and when your mid jungle dies at like 2 minutes into the game, that it just chalks the pace of the whole game.
By the way, like, dying as Rat level 2, level 3, you're like, well, my game might be over. That character just needs to have good starts. Because his late game is nearly non-existent. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that a lot of credit goes to the Warriors. They obviously had a big target on their back coming into this weekend. How do you think that, how has this weekend impacted your expectations or opinion of the Warriors heading into this final phase?
Honestly, not a lot. Because they seemed like a different team, but kind of the same team. They seemed better when they were fighting a lot and worse when they were just farming.
Mm-hmm.
So I assume, given some more practice, I think Genetics will speed up the pace of his game versus trying to bring all 4 of them like down a few gears or a few speeds.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, I'm sure that he realized it in the game, but the faster that they play is just better. And then giving Sot the unkillable gods in solo, I think, is just the way that they win games.
Sot's just the best player in his role by a country mile right now, right?
Yeah,
like, no one is close to him in solo.
It's just unkillable gods or like setup gods, like the Tyr and the Thor, or like the Chalks and Odins. Stuff that's just gonna make a ton of room. And then he's also got Alma as well, which is like meta-wise, in my opinion, the best soul laner.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would agree with you. I think Sot's been playing really well. Same with Panny.
Yes. Well, that's no surprise. Panny's been the best jungler in the world for like 4 years.
That's what I was gonna say. So when your solo side is that strong, then you have Genetics now controlling duo side jungle, where Jake was just kind of more controlling duo lane itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they looked really good. I think that they'll only get better from here, but I think also every other team, as they scrim more, is definitely going to get better. Curious to see how Gladiators are. I hope that Kana and Jake frontline can mesh together, but I mean, I think we talked about it before, where changing 2 of your frontliners, it's just such a big difference.
It's really hard.
It's such a hard adjustment for backliners. Obviously, Stu and Jake have history, so Stu kind of knows how Jake plays, but for Snoopy as well, like, it's just going to be a big positioning change for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I think for me, the takeaway on the Warriors is that they aren't going to lose to themselves, which I thought was a legitimate possibility with the pickup of Genetics and how different his style is and all that kind of stuff. I think they deserve a lot of credit for how well they played and for not only not beating themselves, but being down 2-0 and then coming back is really, it tells me a lot about how that team does not feel the pressure that I thought they might. Right now, I think they handled that pressure really well, being down 2-0. And I'm excited to see what they do during the phase. I don't think that they looked unbeatable like they did at times in phase 1, but that's regular season play, which never really translates 100%. So, yeah, I don't know. Impressed by the Warriors. I think their stock does go up for me. King stock goes down for me. Dragon stock goes up by the I think they changed the most, in my opinion. And Leviathan stock goes up. Everyone else stays about the same, I would say. So yeah, Dragon stock way up. Levi's and Warrior stock up. King stock down is what I would say are my takeaways.
Fair.
Any disagreements there?
No, definitely not. And Levi is also just stylistically big change for them. With adapting was already coming to do a lot, but obviously with PK he plays a lot for the 1v1s versus Zap kind of playing safe. So expect a lot of dual laners to be dying against Leviathans.
For sure. Okay, let's get to our random question of the week. This, of course,
did you want to go over the groups?
Oh yeah, groups. Thank you. Yes, and then they drafted the groups. You have the breakdown. So Warriors got to pick and the Dragons got to pick their groups. Well, it was like they were kind of drafting the group. Is that how it went, or did it change from last time?
It seemed like PBM and Penny were just kind of putting each team like one by one.
Okay.
In the other group.
So yeah, so they were picking at that point. So hold on, I'm gonna write this down for future reference for myself. How did those drafts go?
Warriors are in Chaos and Dragons are in Order. Warriors chose Leviathans to be in Order, and then Dragons chose us to be in Chaos, and then Warriors chose Ferrymen to be in Order, and then Dragons chose Kings to be in Chaos, and then Hounds in Order, and then Glads in Chaos.
Yep.
Which is kind of funny now that I think about all the 3 other teams. It's kind of just genetics going to Warriors, and then Quake going to Kings.
Got like changed the most from from that change potentially. I mean, Hounds obviously also going to the instead of Quig. Yeah, what are I mean, I think that the Order division looks really hard. That looks like a really hard division on paper. Do you feel like you got the easier division here, and were you surprised that they picked you to be in the other division with their first pick?
Well, I think Dragons like scrimming us a lot, and if we're in the other division, they can scrim us more often. And as far as the teams go, I would say the divisions are about even, depending on how Kings can mesh together. If Kings continue not meshing together, I'm definitely happy that Kings and Gladiators are in my division.
Sure.
Just based off of like how they looked at the tournament and a little bit of scrims. And then obviously not too happy that Warriors are in my group, but I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll just have to download them and just kind of like see, and also just kind of download ourselves and get back to actually playing well as a team.
Because the classic self-download. A difficult maneuver to pull off, but very successful when it works.
Apparently we have the early mid-game pretty download, but these pesky late-game decisions where we have to work together as a team, we're pretty clueless on that. Yeah, kind of embarrassing.
Yeah, agreed.
So, yeah, it's already feeling better in scrims, our decision-making around objectives, so, yeah, pretty happy.
Okay. Then with that, it's time for our random question of the week, which is in our community Discord, patreon.com/backliners if you want to join there. We're starting off with Yoma, who asks, assuming money's no object, what would be the perfect temperature for your room/home? Does it change at night? For them, it's 71 during the day and 61 when they sleep.
61
or 69, excuse me, 69. I carried the one there when I shouldn't have. 71 during the day, 69 when they sleep.
It's like, goodness, that person's under like 60 blankets.
You like it really warm, don't you?
Yeah, everyone roasts me. Everyone thinks I'm just crazy.
Well, you are.
I grew up in Georgia where it's just hot outside most of the time, and we didn't run the AC a lot when I was a kid because we were saving a lot of money. I'm pretty sure I grew up in like 80 degrees inside. That was like our standard, and I would say I'm probably comfiest at like 75 because I feel
75?
like I can. Yeah, I feel like I can wear like gym shorts and a t-shirt and be comfy because right now it's 76 in my room and I'm like slightly cold.
That is crazy. Yeah, that's way too hot. 72 is my preferred indoor during the day. And I do definitely like it getting lower at night. I hate being hot when I sleep. It is like nothing will make me in a more frustrated mood than if I wake up hot. I hate that.
Yeah, I hate the random like blanket RNG where you're so comfy and then you wake up and you're just like, it's like you took a shower in bed.
God, that
it's
pissed
so
me off
weird.
It, dude. I'm mad just thinking about it. Yeah, I think I like it usually at like 68 at night. We'll turn on the fan. I would much rather have it be cold in the room with an extra blanket and then too warm. So I'm always erring on the side of too cold at night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we knock ours down to like 73 sometimes at night, and even then, sometimes I get too cold at like 73. Like, my arms, when I sleep, I've been wearing a Fitbit lately, and it tracks kind of like your arm temperature. And there were some nights I saw you shaking your head on the stream, and there's a few nights where like my arm is like minus like 3 degrees from my core temperature because my arms get so cold when for some reason.
My hands have been getting really cold recently, like all the time. Apparently, it can be like a side effect of ADHD medication. And like it's so my hands during the day when I try and like if I'm trying to like get a quick Smite game in or like it's during the weekend or something like that, and I'm trying to play a game during the afternoon. For whatever reason, my room is cold in the mornings and afternoon and then gets hot at night. My office, I mean. In the middle of the day, like, I literally put on sweatpants and a t-shirt and a hoodie to, like, sit at my desk for the first, like, half of the day. And my hands are still freezing. It drives me crazy.
Put on some gloves.
On God, I've thought about it. Hiru asks, would you guys consider having both Aurora and PBM on the backliners, despite them not being backliners, as like a collab podcast?
Oh, that'd be cool.
I think that would be cool. That's a good idea. We should do that.
Yeah, I'd be 100% down with that. I feel like I would not be able to get in a word between the three of you guys.
What? What do you mean? That isn't...
I feel like you and PBM would talk for like 3 hours straight. Me and Aurora would say like the occasional thing.
Yeah, I am gonna be on an episode of Traveler's Proc podcast at some point soon, I think. And I did tell Mike that they have to tell me if there's a time limit, because if not, I will make it their longest episode. And it will not be caught.
Just hold them hostage on their own podcast.
I will. On God, I will. And then Yoma had a follow-up question to Hiru's question. Who would win in a pickleball 2v2 between the Backliners and the Travelers Proc podcast? You got any thoughts on that, Barry?
Well, I've never played pickleball.
Okay. That's fine. We dominate them, and I'm not kidding. I will 1v2 them. It will be like, man, you'll be sitting back and you'll be thinking, man, this is like watching Jeff Hindla crush golds in season 1 ranked duo queue.
Would you like Mario Party them or like Mario Tennis them where you're just
Yeah,
sitting on the
slam it
net?
into their face.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I have played pickleball with Aurora. He is not a very experienced pickleballer. I have not. I don't know if Mike's ever played. We would dominate, for sure. There's no doubt in my mind. Although Hero didn't believe in us, saying that their bets are on the Traveler podcast, the Travelers Proc podcast, and that hurts my feelings deeply. It actually doesn't. It's fine.
Yeah, that does.
Oh, it does. Okay, and then finally, Seafog asked, "What is your optimal parking spot in a multi-level parking garage?" This is a great question, Seafog. I love this question.
Wait, optimal parking spot in a multi-level garage?
Yeah, where are you trying to park?
Where am I trying to go? To the first floor?
Yeah.
Well, it'd be the first floor.
So
right?
it's just as close to the first floor as possible?
Yeah. I mean, it's closer to the entrance, closer to the exit, and closer to where I'm trying to go.
Complete noob thought, Barra.
Really?
You're a complete noob. Here's the thing about how parking on like the ramp between levels 2 and 3 is significantly worse than parking by the stairs on floor 6. You know? You've got to consider where the stairs and elevators are.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That takes priority. Oh, okay. I thought you were just saying lower is better no matter what.
Oh, no. Well, I wouldn't have to be if you're not close to the stairs, it's the same as like not being on the same floor. I guess I think I explained that really bad. But if like the entire floor 2 is taken up and I have to walk across the entire floor 2, I'm just going to go up one assuming that they're empty.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess, and thinking about it now, it's definitely just closest to the stairs on anyone.
Yeah.
Or the elevator. That would make the most sense.
That's definitely the key. The other thing is that I'm not one of the my grandpa. He always makes a big point of backing into every parking space that he takes.
Oh, I can't do that.
That's like his thing. I am not like that, but in a parking garage, I do put a heavy emphasis on backing in, being able to back into the spot. So it has to be an obscenely packed parking garage where I feel like I'm not going to be able to get out for a long time unless or find a spot for me to take any ramp space ever. Ramp spaces are abysmal. They are terrible. You never want a ramp spot. Unless it's like I see them pull out, I got lucky, I'm just going to snag it right away. That's the only time I take a ramp space.
I think, honestly, because we went to a concert at the Masquerade not too long ago and parked in their parking garage, like a concert venue. And we parked on like the 3rd or 4th floor, not that far from the stairs. And everyone above us got to pull out before us because no one would let us out. Like,
criminal behavior from them.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy. Like, if everyone just let one person out on each floor, you know, you could do, like, if you just, your first opportunity on each floor, you let one person out, then you don't let anyone else out, it would all go so quickly. But people are so selfish that they just think, I gotta get ahead of everyone. It drives me insane. I hate it.
Funnily enough, it ties into the beginning of the podcast because I remember I had to poop. And I was so annoyed with everyone driving by, and I'm like, because I pulled into the parking spot and then back in, so I'm like, please, just someone give me like a car length of room so I can pull out. And I was like, do I want to do the standard like Atlanta thing where I just start going and hope that they don't hit me? Like,
right, that is a very classic Atlanta thing. That's another reason why backing in is really OP in parking garages, because you can make eye contact with the people who might not let you in, and they feel peer pressured into letting you out. I'm serious, that works.
No, they don't. Like, it's the same as when you're trying to turn right onto like, I don't know if it's like a freeway or like a highway, and the cars are going kind of slow, and no one looks at you. Yeah, they will just keep looking.
But that's the thing with a parking garage. There's gonna be times where they just have to stop. Oh right? yeah, and you just maintain eye contact that whole time, and then maybe you could give them the please hands, like please let me out, or like I'll like kind of nod my head and give them a little smile, like maybe my turn. Like or you could just do the preemptive wave, like thanks for letting me in. that one can backfire. But yeah, that's why backing in is key. Idea. Because you have to just make eye contact and shame people into letting you out.
Yeah, which is really I'm gonna try that next time I go to the masquerade. And I will be shaming people into letting me out. I will be backing in.
Yep.
I'm honestly, next time I go, I'm just gonna pull all the way to the top and just.
I've done that a lot of times.
Because no one's gonna stop me, right?
Nope.
Like,
no one's gonna stop you.
I can just, and I can let one car out per floor. It'll be fine.
And you're a good person that way. The actual OP strap, by the way, if you're leaving a sporting event or a concert where you're gonna be in a packed parking garage, impossible to get out, it's just to go to a restaurant or a bar. Yep. Oh. Just go grab a drink afterwards. Sit there for 30 minutes, and then you can just walk to your car and leave right away. And instead of sitting in your car being annoyed for 30 minutes, you got to, like, just relax. It's, like, the same amount of time.
And I can poop.
And you can poop.
That's not a bad idea.
It has to be pretty desperate for me to poop in a public bathroom of any kind. Even, like, at work or something like that. It has to be, like, it's happening, you know?
I need to be like at a 7 out of 10 pressure-wise to.
I think I gotta be at like a 9, maybe an 8.
Oh,
I will put myself in a bad spot.
You just start getting really uncomfortable at that point, and when you go, you just have to relieve the pressure. I think, because then you start getting all those like intestinal pains, and it starts like stabbing you.
You get the chills, you know, like. Yeah, you go through.
Oh, that's.
That. Yep.
The chills are like a 10 for me.
Well, if you're at chills, it's like
you're done.
There's a code red, and then there's a code brown. You know what I mean? Like that's where we're out of code red territory. If you catch my drift. All right, that's gonna do it for the podcast. Next week, I'm not sure what our podcast schedule is going to look like yet, because
every week.
Well, yeah, exactly. And Wednesday is the update show. I don't know if this, I guess it's kind of a spoiler, but don't care. We are revealing my next god at this update show, so I'll have a lot to talk about for sure. But my mom is also in town, and Wednesday is her birthday, so I definitely don't think it'll be on Wednesday. We might have to push it to the week after that. But I'm also excited to be able to talk to you about the god that I've been working on for the last, like, 8 months. Or however long it's been.
Better be good. No, I'm kidding.
I think, yep. Some people will like it. Other people might not. But that's the way the cookie crumbles. So, yeah, we'll check our Twitters, all that kind of stuff. Sponsors for this episode were Factor, factormeals.com/backliners50, and BetterHelp, betterhelp.com/backliners. So please check those out. Patreon.com/backliners is the place you want to go if you want to also support us directly. So yeah, with that, we will catch you next time. Bera, you know what to do.
Bye.
That was clean. That was pretty good. Yeah, not bad.
No,
you know?
I'm happy with that one.
Tired, but
sleep deprivation.
A true professional, you know? That's what we always say about you. All of us say that about you.